Hello knitters. In this segment, we're going to take a look at ribbing. Ribbing is a combination of knitting and purling in the same row, and it creates columns of knit and purl stitches sitting on top of each other. This piece is 2 by 2 rib, meaning each row consists of 2 knit stitches alternating with 2 purl stitches. I'm going to show you how to do this. First, using the yarn in my left hand, or what's called picking or continental. And I'm going to start with 2 knit stitches because what I see here is a column of 2 knit stitches. So I want to continue this column. So I'm going to knit 2 stitches. And then I see that I'm coming to this column of purl stitches. I can tell that because of the bumps on the base of these 2 next stitches. I know I need to purl those. In order to purl, remember the yarn has to be in front of your work. So I'm going to bring the yarn around between the tips of my needles so that I can purl the next 2 stitches. So those stitches are purled, and then if I look at my work, I see I have knit stitches. I can tell these are knit stitches because I see this V at the bottom of the stitch instead of this bump. So the next 2 are knit stitches, so I'm going to knit those. I'm again going to bring the yarn to the front so I can purl these 2. Oops. And I need to bring my yarn to the back between the tips of my needles so I can knit these 2. And I will continue through the rest of the work of this row, taking the yarn back to the front so I can purl these 2 stitches and bring the yarn to the back so I can knit these 2. So now I'm going to put the yarn in my right hand and demonstrate doing the same rib stitch with the yarn being held in my right hand. So this is called throwing, or the English style, but the technique is just the same. I'm first going to take the yarn and put it back in front between my 2 needles. I'm going to purl these next stitches. There's 1. There's 2. Now I need to bring my yarn back between the 2 needle tips so that I can knit the 2 stitches, the next 2. Now I'm going to bring the yarn back to the front so I can purl these last 2, and then we'll take a look at the ribbing. Okay, so now I began my row with knit 2. So I've knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, and it's creating and continuing those columns of stitches. Now the last row, the last 2 stitches that I did were purl stitches, right? I purled 2. Now I need to turn my work to do the next row. When I turn my work, you'll see those 2 purl stitches, the other side of them, they look like knit stitches. And that's how I know that on this row I am going to knit 2 and then purl 2. So that's how you do ribbing. Ribbing is a really nice fabric. It's reversible. So those columns that look like knit stitches on this side are going to be purl stitches on the other side, because we're looking at both sides of what a stitch looks like. I'm going to start here because my pattern says to knit 2 and purl 2. So I'm going to start with 2 knit stitches. You can see those V's. That's how I know. I'm just going to finish that column. So I'll knit these 2 stitches and purl the next 2. Now, ribbing can be 1 by 1, knit 1, purl 1 in a row. It can be 3 by 1, knit 3, purl 1. The combinations are sort of endless, but the most standard one that you'll find is this knit 2, purl 2 rib.